Hi, everyone. I'm Lorianne. I am from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I am with.
I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas, and we'd like to welcome you to our How We See It podcast.
So today we're really pleased to have Kyle here, who is a former filmmaker, and he has transitioned into an author and speaker. So we're looking forward to speaking to him about his book, and thank you for being here, Kyle.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate this time with you guys.
We're glad to have you. So if you don't mind, can you just kind of start out telling us what brought you to write this book?
Okay. Well, I would have to say that, I was actually a wedding photographer for a solid, 7 years. So I got really great with a camera. I'm a very gregarious fella, and the wedding industry is very human, obviously. So I really started becoming more aware of subtleness of feelings, emotions, but I also had a pretty solid relationship with Christ at a pretty early age, and it wasn't so much exactly dogmatic, every day or every Sunday type of thing. It was because I kind of knew myself, and I knew when things weren't wrong or what went wrong. I was being bad. I deserved it. Or when things were going really good, that was because I helped somebody out, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
It was something as small as that. But then after cameras started shifting from more photography to video with just like one click, I picked up more of the film side of things. And I ended up doing my first documentary in 2014. It was called Hogwash, an American Pigtail. and that was based off of a farmer in Lower Michigan Lower Michigan, who was being sued by the government for $700,000 for raising pigs. And a common sense guy like me, that didn't make much sense. Got to the bottom of it, and a pretty big documentary that you've never heard of came out, and we were able to save the family. So that was another just a moment of serving, right? Just trying to do what you can to help people. So I've had that narrative my whole life. But one peculiar aspect, though, is you can be gentle as a lamb and rage as a lion. Roy and I were just discussing a little bit that I might be one of the first modern samurais you've met ever. I was a samurai in my past life. I know that's strange, reincarnation, many lives, no one wants to talk, but I found out about this at a very, very early age, super early, like around 8 or 9. For some reason, I knew that I was going to die at the age of 32. It was something that was so annoying. I mean, even my basketball numbers, passwords, everything's 32, and that's just the way it was. So it didn't surprise me that, at 31.8, I'm sitting in the emergency room, staring at the hospital, eating my last meal before I go into emergency brain surgery to try to remove this massive tumor.
Wow.
So my book started before I went into that, but with a letter to my sons. One of my son at the time, my oldest, was Ray Gabriel Miron, and my youngest, Clark Clifford, wasn't born yet. He was still in mom's belly. So when I saw the scan of the tumor, I looked right at Eliza, and we both had zero fear because she knew me so well and my grit and grind and challenging aspect to life. But also, I looked down at her belly, looked down at the 8-month belly, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I don't think you know who you're messing with here, Cancer. I really think you've underestimated yourself. Because I did have 4 tumors. There was one massive one, and then there were 3 other ones kind of growing in sections where I would have been a vegetable if they even would have tried.
Wow.
So yes, that's when the book started, and since we only have a short amount of time here, I want you to at least get some time in.
Well, I read your letter to your kids.
Oh.
To me, that was very, very touching.
Mm.
And having two sons myself, you know, it kind of hit home to me. Is like, what if I was you?
Mm.
You know, and then and even now, I mean, I don't know if your kids have seen that or not, but even if they haven't, or if something happened to you and they saw it later on, I mean, that would be something amazing for them to have.
What did it do for you while you were reading it?
Well, it was kind of sad to me.
Oh, okay.
But I have a lot of empathy, you know, and I'm thinking, you know, my gosh, you know, would I have thought to do something like that if I was going through that? You know, I mean, I think that's a great, it could have been a great legacy for your kids had something happened to you. And it still is.
Oh, yes. Very well said, though. Well, Lori, have you read the letter?
I did not get to the letter. No, I'm going to have to do that.
No, I mean, it's quick. Why don't I just read it? That's perfect for a podcast.
Yeah,
Perfect.
sure.
Please
sure.
do.
All right. I have it right here. Woo.
Hey, and give the title of the name of the book too, because I didn't do that. So.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, again, yeah, it's Kyle Miron, Mind Warrior, Brain Status, Unremarkable, a remarkable approach to attacking cancer.
Yeah.
So yes, it starts out very first page. So we'll start there at least. Dear Ray and Cliff, and if I start bawling, I'm sorry, guys. Okay.
Totally. I almost did.
All right. Dear Ray and Cliff, this is written November 11th, 2016, the night before I went into surgery. Your father and mother love you so much. You both are amazing children, and I'm so proud to be your dad. Your father is going into brain surgery shortly to remove tumors that were caused by fear, regret, stress, and mistakes. They will take great care of me, but I can't promise that I won't be forever changed in some way. Only God knows how and for how long. Just know a few things before I go under the knife. Whew. Your father was not a successful man, but he damn well sure was a valuable human being. He cared more for the earth, for people and their feelings, for helping those in need than he did for the zeros in his bank account. That is great and all, but if he would have been a bit more stingy, patient, and worldly really, he would have realized that you can't help anyone until you can help yourself. Remember, boys, look out for numero uno and your mother, and the rest of the world will benefit from the kindness, love, and compassion that soars in your veins. There's still a lot I wish to do in this world. I was looking forward to watching you both train and play sports. I was going to join Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and go camping and fishing with you. I wanted to help your mother teach you the importance of meditation and yoga and to know how Jesus Christ can connect them all. I hope there still is time. Your generation will be bombarded with information and what to do's and what to thinks. Learn to grow food. Learn to collect water, honey, and electricity. Learn basic first aid and auto mechanics. Be a noble man and try not to lie. You have magic blood flowing through your veins. I'll be with you every step of the way. Your father and mother love you both very much. Good journey, my sons. Kyle R. Miron.
That is awesome.
Very good.
I mean, what a legacy.
There it is. Like, that's it. That's kind of me in a nutshell. You know, as you know, Lori, Youpers and people that are from the middle of nowhere, we do see the world differently. There's no doubt about that. And, you know, my old man, electrician, you know, he made me, yeah, are you?
I was.
Yeah, he made me at least start working at 14, just being the guy who picks up and cuts, you know, picks up the wires and sweeps up for the drywall guy. Be that guy that the other company helps out and the word of mouth makes it. So my dad is a common sense man. And I've had that mentality with my warrior spirit. And that's a really tough thing to break someone that has that. Willing to work as hard as you can, willing to kill things. I mean, I don't know how many people have been on your podcast that have actually like killed and gutted a deer.
I don't know. We haven't discussed that. We haven't asked that question.
Like I said, I'm willing to bet at this point.
Yeah. This is very touching because and I might start crying. My
Okay.
nephew passed away at 23 and he had cancer. He had sarcoma. And at the time, as young as he was, he did have a wife and he had a 2-year-old and another one that was in the belly of his beautiful wife. And same thing though, they told him he would be passing away before his son was born, which was October. And he said, there's no way that you're going to take me away before I see my son. Now he did pass on, but he did make it until June. And so he had those months with his son. So he was determined and he said, no, I'm not going. So when you said that, it just brought back that saying. So he unfortunately didn't get to go to Cub Scouts. His oldest turned 15 just a couple of days ago. So, and looks just like him. So we still have a piece of him with us, so we're very grateful. Like my son said, he goes, it's a miracle that he had children so young in this generation.
Yeah.
And we still have a part of him here with us. Yeah. So
Do you still feel him with you?
yeah, for sure.
What was his name?
Ross.
His name? Ross?
Yeah, well, they called him JR because my dad used to like the show, Dallas with JR.
I've never seen that, but
So, his name was Jonathan Ross Campbell. Yeah.
well, why don't we, why don't we just stop for 1 minute and send some prayers to him?
We could do that.
Why don't we try that? I don't mind. It's not ironic that his age is 23, 32, mirrored. Yeah. And we're having this talk. So why don't we just say hey to him and that's it. Hey, wait it. I got 1 minute.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I said, hey, I'm here with your auntie. Show her a sign that you're here today.
Well, that's very.
All right.
Thank you. So now, too bad he didn't have your book.
Yeah. We are at a point, we are in an absolute generation of cancer from every angle, from kids to teenagers to toddlers to grandparents to great-grand. It just seems that it's a flywheel now. It's almost as if you are getting a phone call and it's like, uh-oh. Why, when, how, all these questions are coming. Mm-hmm. But there's been a lot of enlightenment for me. And I think a lot of people, what really matters in this corona, I call it a plandemic, and that's hard for me when I say that, but all of this seemed too coincidental. Mm-hmm. As we go into another decade, and it sucks to have this many questions about what to do and why is that. And again, so what that's doing now is that is some serious stress. That's some serious anguish. When you can't pay your rent, you can't feed your kids, white, black, everybody is hurting right now. Mm-hmm. And they've been programmed not to think spiritually about how to get out of it. That's the worst, I think. I think we've lost a major, maybe, I don't know if you can get it back. There's a guidance that offers a certain direction for you. And it just seems that all of these directions, everyone's going, I'm not relating to any of it. I can't. And, I know that cancer helped me gain this perspective. There's no doubt about that. And I've always been a challenging a-hole, but the book starts out with, talking about the importance of a villain, uh-huh. What a villain does to a movie. Actually, I use this movie called The Departed with Jack Nicholson, mm-hmm. And he's this mob gangster from Boston, this Irish, really badass guy. And he starts out, he's silhouetted in the garage to a young Matt Damon, and there's Gimme Shelter playing, by the Rolling Stones. And he says the ultimate quote that I use every single day. I say it every single day. He says, I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a holy place, that's his environment.
Yeah. I love that. I did read that part of it, and I thought, wow, that is like very, very nice quote. I really like that.
And it's not mine, but it's perfect. And it's coming from a gangster with some insight and perspective of the world he wants to see. You know, I truly feel, guys, that we have given more value to the likes and the shares and the, you know, whatever's of a robot, like this digital thing that's telling you how like remarkable you are. And it's all fake. Sucks, but it's so fake.
It has caused some really strange behaviors in a lot of people and psychological issues in a lot of people too. And even the young kids who, I mean, it's not what we're talking about, but I mean, the suicide rate's gone up since that. They don't get a lot of likes, or, you know, like the social media, it's got some positive to it, but it's also created some issues, definitely. Going too fast with all that.
Well, I'm glad that we can just model real quick, but I'll say, like, you know, we need to see that life and death has not been discussed to these children about what it means, what it truly means. Instead, politics have taken over, or they've removed. You know, one thing about shop class in high school, I still was in a generation of shop class. That's why I'm not a millennial. Like, that teacher had to teach those kids not to cut their freaking hand off. Why? Because you're gonna die of bleeding. You're gonna die. Even with like music and that, you know, that's focused. There's music played at your funeral. Be ready to play with the best ever if someone needed jet, you know? Like there's a level of nature and just, again, godliness. But every religion is just, there's a spiritual sense that has been totally removed, which I do feel they had that. Like, again, I gutted a deer. I've shot 3 deer. There's a certain knowing that comes over you. That's not yours. You didn't learn it from a teacher. You know, I know I ate a lot of dirt growing up. I know I ate a lot of dirt, or I played kick the can. So I knew that type of competition instead of like, you know, how sweet your Nikes are.
I get that.
Well, I think a lot of that's the breakdown of the family unit.
Oh.
So, you know, the kids are being babysat with their computers and their phones, and there's no family dinners, there's no get-togethers. Everybody, if they're at dinner, everybody's texting, or, you know.
So I'll shift that right away back to our story then, too, is, you know, I'm divorced. Talk about it right here. I'm divorced, and, you know, she's still my like best friend, because I mean, she slept by my bed 8 months pregnant, like 3 nights in a row. I'd wake up, she'd be there, and she just, like, I gotta say, she kept me around by pure will, even too, because she loved me so much. But I gotta say, after 3 years of like healing, there was no love left. It was so tough, because you spend so much time in this like gritty darkness, and the light for each other is just kind of gone because you spend so much time alone, like, already. So you lose it's like almost putting a blanket over a flame. It's still hot and it can hurt you, but like the fire's out.
Well,
I've never said it like that way before, but I feel good talking to you guys.
Well, that's good. But, you know, you talked about meditation and yoga, you know, and how much it helped you.
Well, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be here. So I don't know how to say if that helped me or not, Roy. Yeah, I mean, I have been all over the world. I really have. I've done documentaries in Scotland and Thailand and India and Japan and Mexico. And I've experienced the cultures in each one of them. I've prayed at temples. in Thailand and Japan and India. One of them was like 15,000 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and in the middle of nowhere. But I saw what people look like and feel like after going through these, just wow, sacred situations. Because in India, like a lot of these people took weeks to get to a place
Mm-hmm.
to worship.
Yeah.
Whole families there. So my major dedication to the Japanese Zen, which I told you was already something I knew as a child, grow up in this life. I spent enough time in an attempt to get to Zen mindset, and I realized that it's the same as Christ consciousness. It's the exact same thing. It's not a ism anymore. It's just a frequency that you're able to receive as a human being. It's heaven. It's seriously heaven. And all these religions, I've realized many of them aim for the same thing. They really do in the end. And what's been taken away from us is the understanding that frequency and power doesn't need to be given to you and anybody else. It's always available to you. Always. That all of those religions and isms and that energy is available to you. And when this is the best part, Roy, you forget yourself. You literally let everything you thought and think you know about yourself go. Actually die. Just be completely still. And the way I say it in my speech now is, imagine your mind when you receive that state to be like a cool pool of water, a pond or something. And that's it. That's like the thread of life right there. That stillness, the pre-creation of anything. It's so holy and still, right? So then you have to consider your next thought as the rock that throws it into the stillness. Like that's where you go after you kind of in a way baptize your mind. That's how thoughts and energy works. So the importance of meditation, wouldn't you say now, being very, maybe number one priority, to stop everything once in a while and just remember you are this complete pool of love and light all the time, and all the other ripples and distractions is what's killing you. So I hope I didn't get too deep there, Roy.
No, it makes perfect sense. So now that you've made the transition from filmmaker, documentarian to author and speaker, can you tell us a little about your speaking that you do?
Yes, definitely. So it's a great question, I'll tell you. Because are you familiar with TED and TEDx?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This is the first time I've done a public one of this, but my talk got censored on TEDx.
Really?
Did you know that?
Well, I saw something in your book about that.
In the book, yeah.
Got censored. I don't know how many out of all time that have been censored, but mine did.
And why was that?
To give you the exact reason, I will never know. I have only assumptions. So I don't know what to say on a podcast. I don't want to get anyone in trouble.
Okay. Fair enough.
So, well, let me ask you this then. Outside of that, when you give a speech to people, what is the reaction after you give your speech and you're out with the people that attended your speech?
Wow, Roy. My TEDx was one of the most intimate moments I've ever had, for sure. Because in my speech, there is this real tantalizing moment where I show my tumor. I show my tumor like zoomed in really deep, and I see people's faces kind of, especially like older women who've lost someone. I just remember seeing this woman put her hand over her mouth. She's probably in her 80s in a wheelchair, and there's my tumor, and she could tell she sees this face, and then I showed her this side by side, and it's actually the face of the devil. It's Baphomet. It's this horned god inside my freaking tumor. And, you know, I didn't find that until way after surgery did I ever go in and look at it. And that's when I just completely, like, this wave came over me of how biblical this mass amount of death is. Like, a ton of people are just dying, leaving the planet. And you, again, it's not like the book of Revelation's that bad yet, but they're saying this is kind of like an exodus or something. Like, we have to exit whatever's happening. I mean, millions of people dying, kids, all of this stuff. Like, we've put up with it long enough, in my opinion, with all the voices now. And that's why I said, if I got to be the samurai now, one thing people really underappreciate Jesus, I'd have to say, is this: everybody thinks he was like this yoga hippie, dress bearded guy. This dude was a killer. Jesus was cutting the heads off of all these devils and like the darkest things in the world. Why is that a yoga hip? You know, why is that guy so persecuted about stuff if you look at that? So like I said, when cancer showed up, I was so equipped. I was so armored up, you know? I mean, there's this movie, The Matrix. Have you guys seen The Matrix?
Yeah.
I have not.
Okay, should I
Blue
tell?
pill, red pill. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
blue
there
light.
is that. There is that too. Blue pill, red pill. But the other one, there's the scene where Neo is going back and he goes almost like parallel to the ground with bullets.
Yeah.
Do you remember that part?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so I'm not kidding you. Here's my complete theory. I'd probably be banned somewhere if I said this. But I believe that, like, Zen, Christ consciousness, and the Matrix, when he does that, I think that's what the samurai had. I think they spent so much time in meditation that they were able to, like, contort time, you know? So I think that when you do reach a certain level of, like, peace and nirvana, whatever you want to call it, like, I think you have these abilities to do and manipulate time so that, and I almost, like, my dreams were this in 2005. When a samurai was going to get his death blow, like, is going to get his head cut off, I think that somehow activates, like, a time, like, whole, because it's the moment of death is so powerful.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a magnet or something that you're able to do. So again, when I was getting my treatments, my proton radiation, my chemos and everything, that's when I went into this Christ consciousness state. And I was almost the treatment itself. I was like this, I was the chemo, or I was the proton beam, because nothing exists here without God. So I would say let me see if I got the right chapter here even. This will be a good way to close it off soon. I get the turkey. Hey, Roy. Yes, here it is. Okay, let me just read this last part then. This is pretty powerful.
Okay.
So that now, as you understand by now, there's a great power in the words and thoughts which we repeat through our lives. And one of the most powerful words or vibrations of the universe is ah. One of the most effective weapons I used during my cancer crusade was when I received any treatment, whether it was proton radiation, chemotherapy, chemo pills. I made sure to put myself in Christ consciousness state of mind, and I repeated these words: Lord, please only allow the positive effects from this treatment to enter my world. Chemotherapy sucks. It's a poison. The whole concept and mission of that treatment is a trial and error experiment. Radiation sucks. Your body will never be the same again, and some cancers are not even affected by it. However, they can help. When you pray for only the good stuff during treatments, when you have a conversation with your creator and ask for all the negative residue to be left behind, you increase your opportunity tenfold in making the healing results which you originally intended. I like to say that God and I held the healing paintbrush together as we both painted on the canvas of my life, a brain that was so beautifully normal, it was unremarkable.
Nice. That's very nice. And I just have a quick question before we move on. And I wanted to say, you said you had 4 tumors, and there were some that were, if they operated, would have been. Are they all gone now?
Oh yeah, I'm 4 years cancer free.
Excellent. Because I mean, we know that we were talking about the big one they were removing, but we didn't discuss that. So this is wonderful. That's awesome.
Do you really only have 5 more minutes? Because this will really help me relay exactly why the title is of this book.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it. All right, so that's exactly it. So after official 9 months, after all the radiation, proton therapy, chemo, physical training, physical therapy, I finally did an MRI, and I got the results. And my doctor comes in. He really was a cool fellow, but he was pretty old, and he liked how I was attacking the whole thing. He was really one of those guys that appreciated this mindset, because I swore a lot. He laughed, and then I got to say, after 4 months, there were no other tumors. There were the 3 tumors weren't there, and then the big one, they still didn't get all of it on the first surgery, so that one was shrunk considerably. And he just comes in, he goes, "What are you doing, man? Like, this is, it's like, I didn't expect this. What are you doing?" And I just kind of told him what we've talked about briefly. He didn't have a whole lot of time to talk about it, but it was great to have another, like, not a cheerleader, but whoever was rooting somebody on at the Coliseum. He's like, "Man, it's good to see this guy just bouncing back." But after 9 months, I came in and there was nothing. He was almost whistling when he came in. He's like, "Man, we didn't see anything on the scan. Let's schedule another week meeting and come in for your update, and we'll check it out." So I come in and he just throws the stuff down. He goes, "Cancer free." And I'm just like bawling, just crying a little bit. And he gives me the results. We talk very quickly, but I wanted to head home. And I get home and I'm reading it through, like, completely. And it literally says, in so many ways, all the lobes and everything. But the status says unremarkable. So brain status, unremarkable. After everything I went through, this freaking robot has the audacity to call my tired brain an unremarkable piece of shit, pretty much. Like,
Oh, that's perfect.
So
Oh my
if
God.
you want to know a lot more, 5millionbrains.com. Honestly, go get your free copy. There's a $5, just to make a donation, you get the audio book where you can hear some of the levity I'm talking about. I really, really appreciate this time to be so, transparent with you.
We really enjoyed it, and I'll say, for someone that survived cancer, was able in that process to find their purpose and create an awesome legacy.
Oh, Roy, you can make me cry, man. Thank you for saying that, sir.
Yes.
And thank you for being here with us, Kyle. We really appreciate it. And
sure
again,
do.
it's 5millionbrains.com for the
Yep.
free PDF, and then there's the audio for a donation.
You got
Thank
it.
you so much. Incredible story.
Yes, amen. Good journey, guys. I can't wait for our next talk.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.